Have you ever kept a secret not because you were ashamed, but because you needed to protect someone you love? That was me 6 months ago. Alina Vale, 28, heir to a design empire worth billions, living in a cramped studio apartment, driving a second-hand car, wearing thrift store clothes. I wasn't hiding from debt or shame. I was hiding from the curse that follows wealth. People who see your money before they see you. Another coffee? Alina? Marco, the barista, slid my usual across the counter. Thanks, I said, dropping my last dollar into his tip jar. The irony wasn't lost on me. I could have bought his entire cafe chain without blinking. Rain pelted the windows as I sketched designs that would make millions, designs nobody knew were mine. At Vale Design Group, I worked through proxies, shadow executives, who presented my work while I watched from afar. Mind if I sit here? I looked up. Tall, kind eyes. Rain-soaked jacket. He gestured to the chair across from me. All yours, I said, closing my sketchbook. I'm Elias, he smiled, extending his hand. His palm was warm, calloused. A working man's hand. Alina. What are you drawing? He nodded toward my hidden work. Just dreams, I said. He laughed, not mocking, but like he understood exactly what I meant. The best things start that way. We talked until closing time, about art, literature, the way rain sounds different on city streets than in forests. Not once did he ask what I did for money or where I lived. 3 weeks later, we were inseparable. I told him I was a freelance illustrator struggling to make rent. He believed me because I made it true, the struggling part, at least. Elias worked in finance, he said. His family had connections. Old money, blue blood. They're traditional, he explained one night, his head in my lap as we watched stars from my fire escape, especially about who I date. What does that mean? I asked, already knowing. He kissed my palm. It means they're going to love you for you, not your bank account. If only he knew. They want to meet you, he said, sitting up suddenly. Sunday dinner. My heart stopped. Elias, I'm not perfect. Wealthy, connected, he cupped my face. That's exactly why I love you. The weight of my lie crushed my chest. If he discovered who I really was now, I'd lose him forever. He'd never believe anything was real. Okay, I whispered. That night, after he left, I stared at my reflection. The woman who built an empire in secret. The woman pretending to be nobody. Have you ever felt the weight of a lie meant to protect love? Did you ever wonder if coming clean would destroy everything you built? I didn't know then that meeting his family would unravel everything I'd carefully hidden, or that their mistake would change us all forever. The Marquette mansion stood on Hillcrest Avenue like a monument to old money. Even the air felt expensive. Ready? Elias squeezed my hand as we walked up the cobblestone path. I nodded, smoothing my only decent dress, a navy blue thrift store find I'd carefully tailored. Just be yourself, he whispered. That's who I fell for. If only he knew how much of myself I was hiding. The door swung open before we knocked. A woman with platinum blonde hair and diamond earrings worth more than my fake apartment stood there, her smile practiced. Elias. Darling. She embraced him, then turned her gaze to me. I recognized that look, the instant calculation of worth based on appearance. I'd been giving that same look to business rivals for years. And you must be Alina, the illustrator. Mother, this is Alina Vale, Elias said proudly. I tensed at my full name. Vale wasn't exactly unknown in certain circles. Vale? Something flickered in her eyes. Any relation to the design group? My heart pounded. Just a common name, I lied. She relaxed. Of course. I'm Claudine Marquette. Please, come in. The inside was exactly what I expected. Marble floors, crystal, chandeliers. Artwork chosen for price tags. Not passion. Reginald, Claudine called. Elias and his friend are here. Friend, not girlfriend. I'd been categorized already. Reginald Marquette looked up from his leather chair, scotch in hand. Steel gray hair, custom suit. eyes that evaluated everything as an asset or liability. "So," he said, not bothering to stand, "you're the girl keeping my son from his responsibilities." "Dad," Elias warned. "What?" "I'm making conversation." He gestured vaguely toward me. "What do your parents do?" "Alina." "They passed away," I said quietly. The truth, for once. "Oh, how tragic," Claudine said without feeling. "And what did they leave you?" "Billions. An empire. Independence." "Memories," I answered. Elias's hand found mine under the table. "Can we not interrogate her before dinner, please? We're simply getting to know your companion." Claudine smiled thinly. "Tell me, dear, how does one survive as a freelance illustrator these days? It can't possibly pay the bills." I met her eyes. "I manage." "She's talented," Elias interjected. "She could be working anywhere, but she chooses independence." Reginald scoffed. "Independence doesn't fund retirement, boy." The maid announced dinner, saving me from responding. As we moved to the dining room, Claudine pulled Elias aside. I wasn't supposed to hear, but years of boardroom politics had sharpened my senses. "Darling, she seems sweet, but really? An orphaned artist with no connections? What could she possibly offer the Marquette legacy?" Elias's response was too quiet to catch. At the table, Claudine lifted her wine glass. "To new acquaintances." I smiled politely, mentally calculating how many times Vale Design Group could buy and sell Marquette Finance. I never planned to reveal myself, until Claudine slid something across the table after dessert. "I think you'll find this helpful for your future." It was a check. Have you ever been sized up and found wanting by someone who had no idea who you really were? Would you reveal your truth, or make them regret their judgment? I stared at the check between us. $50,000 made out to Alina Vale. The dining room went silent. Even the expensive chandelier seemed to hold its breath. "What is this?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. Claudine's smile never reached her eyes. "A gift to help you pursue your artistic dreams." "Mother." Elias's face drained of color. "What are you doing?" "Being practical," she replied, not looking at him. "Everyone needs help sometimes." I knew what this was. Not charity, not kindness. A price tag on her son's heart. "I don't understand," I said, though I understood perfectly. Reginald cleared his throat. "Elias has responsibilities to this family, a legacy to uphold. And you're suggesting I'm in the way of that legacy?" I asked quietly. "Not at all." Claudine's diamond bracelet clinked against her wine glass. "I'm suggesting your paths are incompatible. This is simply to ease the transition." Elias stood so quickly his chair toppled backward. "This is insane." "Alina, we're leaving." "Sit down," Reginald commanded. "We're speaking honestly here, something you've failed to do." "What does that mean?" Elias demanded. "It means," Reginald leaned forward, "we've had her investigated." My blood froze. Alina Vale. No family connections. No significant assets. A small apartment in the East District. A job that barely covers rent. He listed my carefully constructed lies like charges in a courtroom. Is this really the future you want? If only they knew. The real investigation would have revealed everything. My boardroom. My empire. My billions. Elias's hand found mine under the table. Her worth isn't measured by her bank account. Everything in this world has a price. Claudine pushed the check closer to me. Even principles. I looked at the paper. Such a small sum to buy what they thought was my dignity. "Keep your money." I stood slowly. "Don't be foolish." Claudine hissed. "You can't give him what we can. What he deserves." I could buy their company before breakfast tomorrow. I could destroy their reputation with a single press release. Instead, I smiled. "Thank you for dinner." Elias followed me out, apologizing all the way to the car. His voice shook with rage and shame. "I never thought they'd stoop this low." "I'm so sorry, Alina." I watched the mansion shrink in the rearview mirror. "Do you agree with them? About what you deserve?" "God," No. He gripped the steering wheel. I don't care about any of that. But his knuckles were white, his jaw tight. They're just afraid? I said softly. People who measure worth in dollars are terrified of those who don't. He was quiet for a long moment. I need to fix this. How? I don't know yet. He stared at the road ahead. But I won't let them win. That night, as he slept beside me, I made a decision. They thought they'd met a powerless woman they could bribe into disappearing. It was time to show them who Alina Vale really was. Have you ever watched someone underestimate you and wondered how it would feel to reveal your true power? Would you walk away or make them remember your name forever? 2 weeks passed. Elias called his parents daily, demanding apologies they refused to give. They think you'll get tired of fighting, he said one night, his head in my lap as we watched the city lights from my window. That you'll take the money and disappear. I ran my fingers through his hair, wondering how to tell him I was about to do exactly that. Disappear. Just not the way they expected. What if I did? I asked softly. He sat up, eyes searching mine. What? Leave. Not forever. Just step back. Is that what you want? His voice cracked. No. What I wanted was to stop living this lie, to tell him everything, that I wasn't poor Alina scraping by on illustrations, that I was Alina Vale, the woman whose signature appeared on paychecks across 3 continents. I think I chose my words carefully. We need space to figure this out. There's nothing to figure out. I choose you. It's not that simple. It is to me. He took my hands. Look, next week is the Marquette Foundation Charity Gala. Come with me. Show them you're not going anywhere. The Marquette Gala. The irony almost made me laugh. Vale Design Group donated anonymously to it every year. One of my father's traditions I'd continued. I can't. Please, Alina. It would mean, Elias, I'm leaving tomorrow. The words hung between us like shattered glass. Leaving? His voice was barely audible. For how long? I don't know. Forever, maybe. Or until I could return as myself. This is because of them. Isn't it? They got to you. No. I touched his face. This is because of me. There are things about me you don't know. His eyes darkened. Then tell me. I almost did. The words formed on my tongue. I'm not who you think I am. I own Vale Design Group. I'm worth billions. But the look on his face stopped me. Would he believe our love was real if he knew I'd lied about everything else? I need time, I whispered instead. He left that night without another word. The next morning, I emptied the apartment, donated the thrift store clothes, returned the keys, erased every trace of the lie I'd been living. My driver met me 2 blocks away, first time I'd called for a car in almost a year. Welcome back, Miss Vale, he said, opening the door to the sleek black Bentley. The penthouse is ready. I slipped into the familiar leather seats, letting the weight of pretending fall away. Within hours, my assistant had changed my number, deactivated the email account Elias knew, removed all traces of poor Alina from the world. 3 days later, I sat at the head of the Vale Design boardroom table for the first time in months. The empire hadn't crumbled in my absence. Miss Vale. My CFO slid a folder across the table. The Marquette Foundation requested increased funding for next week's gala. I opened it, saw Claudine's signature, and smiled. Accept their request, I said, and prepare my invitation. I believe it's time I attended in person. Have you ever walked away from someone you love to protect a truth that could destroy everything? Would you have the courage to reveal yourself, knowing you might lose them forever? The night of the Marquette Foundation Gala arrived. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, and egos larger than the Baroque ballroom they filled. I stood before my penthouse mirror, no longer the woman in thrift store clothes. Tonight, I wore a simple black gown that cost more than 6 months' rent at my fake apartment. My father's emeralds at my throat, the ones I'd kept locked away during my time with Elias. The car is ready, Miss Vale, my assistant said. I hadn't seen Elias in 3 weeks. His calls to my disconnected number eventually stopped. His emails to my deactivated account bounced back. He probably thought I'd taken his parents' money after all. Tonight would change everything. "You don't have to do this," my assistant said, watching me. "The Vale Group can withdraw funding anonymously. Some things need to be faced in person," I replied. The gala was already in full swing when my driver pulled up to the red carpet. Cameras flashed. Not for me, not yet. The Vale name was powerful, but I'd kept my face out of the press for years. That ended tonight. I handed my invitation to the doorman. His eyes widened slightly at the name, but he simply nodded. Inside, the ballroom glittered with wealth and power. Across the room, I spotted them immediately. Claudine in diamonds, Reginald holding court with financial titans, and Elias. My heart stumbled. Elias standing alone by the windows, looking lost in a sea of people. Claudine noticed me first. Confusion crossed her face. She recognized me, but couldn't place from where. I moved through the crowd before she could. I needed a moment. Just one more minute of anonymity. "Alina?" I turned. Elias stood there, staring like he'd seen a ghost. "Hello, Elias. You're here? How?" His eyes swept over the gown, the emeralds, the perfectly styled hair. "What's going on?" Before I could answer, the event coordinator tapped her microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the annual Marquette Foundation Gala. Before dinner, we'd like to thank our most generous supporter, whose contribution this year exceeded all others combined." I touched Elias's arm. "I need to tell you something. This year, we're honored to have her attending in person for the first time," the coordinator continued. "Please welcome the CEO of Vale Design Group, Miss Alina Vale." The spotlight found me. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Elias stepped back, his face draining of color. "What?" Claudine froze across the room, champagne glass suspended halfway to her lips. Reginald's eyes narrowed, recognition dawning as I walked toward the stage. The microphone waited. The crowd stared. My secret lay shattered on the ballroom floor. I took the stage, gripping the podium to steady myself. "Thank you," I began, finding Elias's eyes in the crowd. He hadn't moved, shock written across his face. "The Marquette Foundation does important work." Claudine was whispering urgently to Reginald now, her face pale beneath her makeup. I continued my rehearsed speech, but my eyes never left Elias. The betrayal in his expression cut deeper than any business loss I'd ever suffered. When I finished, polite applause followed me back to the floor. Elias was gone. Claudine intercepted me before I could look for him, her diamond bracelet digging into my arm as she pulled me aside. "You," she hissed. "You were playing us all along." I met her gaze steadily. "No, Claudine. You were the one playing games. I was just better at them. Why are you really here?" Her perfect veneer cracked. "To humiliate us?" I smiled. "I'm just getting started. Have you ever revealed your true self to someone who underestimated you? Did you savor their shock, or did it feel emptier than you imagined?" I found Elias on the terrace, silhouetted against city lights. His back was rigid, hands gripping the stone balustrade so tightly his knuckles shone white. "Elias." He didn't turn. Was any of it real? The question hung between us, sharp as broken glass. "All of it," I said softly. "Everything except the money." "The money?" He laughed bitterly. "Just the one thing my parents care about. The one thing that would have shut them up forever." I stepped closer. "That's why I couldn't tell you." Now he turned, eyes flashing. "You couldn't tell me you were Alina Vale? That you owned Vale Design Group? That you're probably worth more than my entire family? Would you have believed what we had was real if you knew?" "We'll never know, will we?" His voice cracked. "Because you decided for me. You made me fall in love with a lie. I fell in love with you when you thought I had nothing," I said. "When you defended me to your parents. When you chose me over their money." "Did I?" He shook his head. "Or was I just another puppet in your game?" The words stung worse than any business negotiation gone wrong. There was no game. "Elias." "Then what do you call this?" He gestured toward the ballroom, where whispers about Alina Vale had already reached fever pitch. You humiliated them. Used me to get close, then reveal yourself like some kind of what? I stepped closer. Like someone who's been judged by her bank account her entire life? Who wanted to be loved for herself, not her father's company. Something flickered in his eyes, understanding maybe. But it vanished quickly. I trusted you, he whispered. Inside, Reginald was pushing through the crowd toward us, his face thunderous. Your father's coming, I said. Elias didn't move. Elias, Reginald's voice boomed across the terrace. Inside. Now. I'm talking to Alina, Elias said, not looking away from me. Miss Vale. Reginald nodded stiffly. I believe we have some business to discuss. We have nothing to discuss, I replied calmly. On the contrary. His smile was all teeth. Vale Designs Singapore merger. I believe Marquette Finance was being considered as a partner. The threat was clear. He'd tank the deal. One worth billions. Unless I disappeared from his son's life. Dad, stop, Elias warned. You've been played, son, Reginald snapped. She infiltrated our family under false pretenses. She's not who you think she is. Neither are you, Elias shot back. The shock on Reginald's face almost made me smile. She's manipulating you, he recovered quickly. Using you to get to us. Because the world revolves around the Marquette family? I asked quietly. You'll regret this. Reginald's voice dropped. I promise you that. No, I met his gaze steadily. You'll regret underestimating me. The board votes tomorrow on the Singapore merger. And? I smiled. I control 51% of the voting shares. The color drained from his face. Elias, he barked, we're leaving. I'm staying, Elias said, his eyes never leaving mine. As Reginald stormed away, Elias took my hand. I want to hear everything, he said. The real story. No more lies. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from my assistant. Emergency. Singapore deal compromised. Marquette making calls. I looked up at Elias, torn between truth and damage control. Tell me, he whispered. Who are you really? Alina Vale? Would you tear down everything you've built for love? Or would you protect your empire first? Even if it meant losing the only person who saw beyond your wealth? I need to go, I said, still staring at my phone. Of course you do. Elias's voice hardened. The empire calls. It's not like that. I showed him the message. Your father is trying to sabotage a deal that would help thousands of people. A merger that creates jobs, not just profits. His jaw tightened. And this surprises you? No. I slipped the phone back into my clutch. But it matters. The gala continued inside, oblivious to the storm brewing in the Marquette family. Claudine was already doing damage control, laughing too loudly with potential investors. My entire life, I said quietly. People have seen my money before they've seen me. My father built Vale Design from nothing, and when he died, I inherited not just his company, but his isolation. I met Elias's eyes. Do you know what it's like to never know if someone loves you or your bank account? Something shifted in his expression. So you lied to test me? I lived simply to find something real. And then I found you. My voice caught. A man who defended a penniless artist to his family, who saw value beyond wealth. And now? His question hung between us. His question hung between us. Now, I need to stop your father from destroying something important. More important than us? The question hit like a physical blow. There might not be in use anymore, I whispered. You said it yourself. I built everything on a lie. I didn't say that. He stepped closer. I said I wanted the truth. My phone buzzed again. More urgent messages. Go, he said, surprising me. Stop whatever he's doing. Elias. I'm not going anywhere, Alina. Not this time. I hesitated, then nodded and hurried toward the exit. My driver was waiting, engine running. The office, I instructed, already dialing my CFO. 3 hours later, I sat in my boardroom, surrounded by emergency legal teams. Reginald had been busy, calling investors, spreading rumors, leveraging old connections to undermine the Singapore merger. We can still save this, my lead counsel insisted. But we need to act now. I signed the documents they pushed toward me, mine still half terraced with Elias. Miss Vale. My assistant interrupted. There's someone here to see you. Before I could ask who, the boardroom doors opened. Elias stood there, tie loosened, still in his gala attire. The room fell silent. Everyone out, I said quietly. My team exchanged glances but complied, filing past Elias with curious stares. How did you find me? I asked when we were alone. I had my driver follow yours. He approached the table, scanning the papers scattered across it. My father's handiwork? I nodded. I'm sorry, he said, surprising me. For what? For not seeing who they really are until tonight. He sat across from me. For making you feel like you couldn't tell me the truth. Hope flickered inside me. Can we start over? No, he said firmly. We can't erase what happened, but we can move forward differently. He leaned forward. No more lies, Alina. From either of us. I frowned. What do you mean? I haven't been entirely honest either. My pulse quickened. About what? He took a deep breath. About why I was really with you. The hope inside me withered. I don't understand. My parents didn't just want me to marry someone wealthy, he said quietly. They specifically wanted a connection to Vale Design Group. Have you ever had someone reveal a truth that turned your entire reality upside down? When the person you trusted most confesses their own deception, do you listen to their explanation, or is the betrayal too deep to overcome? The boardroom seemed to shrink around us. My fingers went numb against the polished table. What are you saying? My voice was barely audible. Elias ran his hands through his hair. 6 months ago, my father showed me a list of appropriate women to pursue, daughters of business partners, political connections, old money families. He met my eyes. Your name was at the top. I couldn't breathe. So meeting me at that cafe was an accident, he said quickly. Pure chance. I had no idea who you were. This woman in thrift store clothes sketching by the window. But you stayed. The words tasted bitter. Even after you realized I wasn't what they wanted. Because by then, I wanted you. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. When I realized you were hiding your wealth, living simply, I thought maybe you were running from something. I never imagined that I was the Alina Vale they wanted all along. I laughed, a hollow sound that echoed against the glass walls. The irony. My parents never knew. They thought I was rebelling, choosing someone inappropriate. I stood abruptly. So the check, the insults, the investigation. All real, he confirmed. They truly believed you were nobody. And you let them believe it. Let them humiliate me. I was trying to protect you. From what? My voice rose. From knowing I was a pawn in some corporate chess game? That your family wanted Vale Design Group through marriage? He flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Elias? I fell in love with you, he said simply. The real you, the woman who gave her last dollar as a tip, who talked about art like it could save the world, who saw beauty in broken things, while hiding the fact that your parents had targeted me before we ever met. Yes, he didn't deny it. I was wrong. Outside the boardroom windows, dawn was breaking over the city. My city. My empire. I need you to leave, I said quietly. Alina, now. My voice didn't waver. I have a company to save. He stood slowly, reached into his pocket, and placed something on the table. The check his mother had offered me, torn in half. I never wanted your money, he said softly. Either version of you. After he left, I sank back into my chair, staring at the torn check. Everything felt hollow. My victory over Reginald. My reclaimed identity. Even the company I'd protected. My phone rang. The Singapore team. Waiting for direction. I answered mechanically, giving orders, signing virtual documents, saving the merger while my heart splintered inside my chest. By noon, Vale Design had not only secured the deal but expanded it, effectively blocking Marquette Finance from similar opportunities for years. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt empty. My assistant entered hesitantly. Miss Vale, the press is requesting statements about last night, about you and Elias Marquette. No comment. And the Marquettes are calling. All of them. Separately. I stared at the torn check. Block their numbers. All of them? I paused, thinking of Elias's face as he'd placed the torn check on the table. All except one, I said finally. But tell him I'm not ready to talk. Not yet. And when will you be ready? She asked gently. I turned to the window, watching the city I owned but couldn't feel. When I figure out if any of it was real, the question haunted me. If two people build a relationship on hidden truths, can anything genuine grow from that poisoned soil? Or are some betrayals too fundamental to ever truly forgive? Have you ever discovered that a connection you thought was fate was actually carefully orchestrated? Would you walk away forever, or search for the truth beneath the lies? 3 weeks passed. I buried myself in work, attending meetings in 4 countries, launching 2 product lines, and avoiding every mention of the Marquette name. Except at night, when I'd stare at my phone, reading Elias's unanswered messages. I never told them who you really were. It was real, Alina. All of it. Please just talk to me. The last one had come 5 days ago. Then silence. I stood at my penthouse window, watching rain blur the city lights 30 floors below. The same rain that had been falling when I first met Elias. My assistant's voice came through the intercom. Miss Vale. There's someone in the lobby insisting on seeing you. Who? Claudine Marquette. My grip tightened on my wine glass. Send her away. She says it's about Elias. That it's urgent. Something cold settled in my stomach. Send her up. Minutes later, Claudine Marquette stood in my living room. Gone were the dough. Diamonds. The perfect makeup. She looked smaller somehow. Diminished. Thank you for seeing me, she said, declining my mechanical offer of a drink. You said it was about Elias. She nodded, clutching her handbag like a shield. He's gone. Gone? The word stuck in my throat. Left the country 3 days ago, resigned from the company, cut off his accounts. Her perfect composure cracked. He won't return our calls. Relief flooded me. Not an accident. Not illness. Followed immediately by a deeper pain. Why come to me? Because he left this. She withdrew an envelope from her bag. My name was written on it in his handwriting. I took it, fighting to keep my hands steady. You won, she said quietly. I looked up sharply. This wasn't a game. Wasn't it? You infiltrated our family, humiliated us publicly, then took our son. I didn't take anything from you, I replied. You drove him away yourself, with your judgments, your manipulations. We wanted what was best for him. You wanted what was best for your legacy. She flinched as if I'd slapped her. Perhaps you're right. The admission surprised me. Reginald and I, she continued. We built our lives on appearances, on connections, the right schools, the right clubs, the right marriages. Her eyes met mine. We forgot to ask what would make our son happy. And now our company is struggling, our reputation is damaged, and our son is gone. She gestured at my penthouse. While you have everything. I thought of the unopened letter in my hand, of the emptiness that had followed me for weeks. Not everything, I said softly. She nodded as if I'd confirmed something important. Read his letter, Miss Vale. Then decide if winning was worth what you've both lost. After she left, I sat on my balcony in the rain, turning the envelope over in my hands. Finally, I opened it. Alina. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not to punish you, but to find myself without the shadows of our families. I've spent my life being Reginald Marquette's son. You've spent yours being James Vale's daughter. We both hid parts of ourselves, searching for something real in a world built on appearances. What we found was real, but it was growing in poisoned soil. I'm leaving for a year. No family name, no connections, no wealth. Just me, discovering who I am when nothing else matters. If you still want to know that person when I return, I'll be at the cafe where we met. 1 year from today. 9 a.m. This time. No pretending. Elias, I read it 3 times, rain soaking the paper, blurring the ink. 1 year. 365 days to decide if what we had was worth saving. My phone rang. The Singapore team, with an urgent question about the merger. The merger that would cement Veil Design's global dominance. The deal I'd sacrificed everything to protect. If you had to choose between the empire you built and the love you found, which would you sacrifice? When the year ends, will you show up at that cafe? Or let the past wash away like rain? 1 year. 52 weeks. 365 days. That's how long it took for the cafe table by the window to become available again. I arrived at 8:30. Wearing jeans and a simple blouse. No designer labels. No Veil Empire armor. Just me. The real me. Your usual? Marco asked, sliding a black coffee across the counter. I smiled. You remember. Hard to forget our most famous customer. He nodded toward a magazine on the rack. My face on the cover of Forbes. Though you dressed differently back then. Rain tapped against the windows. Gentle. Like the night I first offered Elias shelter under my umbrella. I chose the same table, ordered the same coffee, opened the same sketchbook, but everything else had changed. In a year, Veil Design had doubled in size. The Singapore merger transformed into something bigger than profit. Sustainable manufacturing, education programs, community renewal. Marquette Finance had survived too. Though smaller, humbler. Reginald retired. Claudine redirected the foundation toward actual charity work, and I had learned to live with questions that had no easy answers. The bell above the door chimed. I didn't look up. Footsteps approached. Stopped beside my table. Is this seat taken? His voice hadn't changed. I raised my eyes slowly. Elias stood there, tanned, leaner, hair longer than before. No designer suit, just worn jeans and a faded t-shirt. His eyes held the same warmth I remembered. All yours. I echoed the words from our first meeting. He sat down, placing a worn backpack beside him. You came. I did. I wasn't sure you would. I closed my sketchbook. Neither was I. A year of silence stretched between us. Not uncomfortable. Just full. Full of growth and distance and change. Where did you go? I finally asked. Everywhere. Nowhere special. He smiled slightly. Worked on fishing boats in Greece. Built houses in Colombia. Taught English in Vietnam. Without the Marquette name. He nodded. Without any name that mattered. And what did you find? That I'm more than my family's legacy. His eyes held mine. What about you? Still running an empire? Differently now. I traced the rim of my coffee cup. More transparency. More purpose. I saw the Children's Design Academy you launched. It's extraordinary. Your mother's foundation is funding part of it, I said, watching his surprise. People can change, it turns out. Even us? The question hung between us, fragile as blown glass. I don't know, I answered honestly. Can two people who began with lies build something true? He reached across the table, his fingers stopping just short of mine. I think, he said slowly, that sometimes the straightest path isn't how you find your way home. I studied his face, no longer the polished financier's son, but a man who had walked away from privilege to find himself. And where is home now? I asked. I'm still figuring that. His hand finally covered mine. But I know it starts with truth. Rain drummed harder against the window, cocooning us in white noise and memory. We can't go back, I said. I don't want to go back. His grip tightened. I want to start over. Properly this time. As who? Just Elias. Just Alina. His smile cracked something open inside my chest. No Marquette. No Veil. Just us. Is that possible? I don't know, he admitted. But I'd like to find out. Outside, the rain began to clear, sunlight breaking through clouds. A new day emerging from the storm. Coffee's getting cold. He he said softly. I looked at our hands, still joined across the table, at the path that had led us here, crooked, broken, and real. Then maybe we should go somewhere else, I suggested. Where? I smiled. Anywhere. As long as it's forward. When two people who started with lies strip everything away, the wealth, the names, the expectations, what remains? Is it enough to build a future on? Or are some beginnings too broken to ever truly repair? What would you choose? The empire you built alone, or the chance to build something new together?